Good morning everyone and welcome back to the Two-Headed Wolf gaming channel and Path of Exile 2 as we continue to work on our two-handed warrior. If you haven't seen my series so far, what I've been doing in between the episodes is that I've been farming for a few extra levels, gathering a bunch of passive skill points, looking for some gear, and I put it aside so that at the beginning of this episode we can spend some time together, upgrading the character, trying to put the build together, and then we're gonna be spending the rest of the episode just running a couple of maps and test everything out. With this in mind, let's get started. Let's start with the passive skill tree. Last time I said that I would be going for Giant's Blood, an ability which allows us to wield two-handed weapons in only one hand, which means that you can dual-wield them as well, which is really awesome. However, the downside for this ability is that it triples the attribute requirements of weapons. And after doing some calculations, I came to the realization that I can't sustain this ability long term using the Warbringer. It's one of those nodes which definitely seems better tailored for the Titan class, and I'll give you a quick explanation on why. These are some of the maces which I found in shop, sorted by strength requirements. This two-handed mace has a strength requirement of 52. Now, on damage output, two-handed weapons will always be better than their one-handed counterparts, so there's no debate there. 52 strength is not a whole lot. I am running with 75 at the moment, so if I was to triple the requirements of this two-handed weapon, it would be 156. In order to get to 156, it wouldn't be that difficult, at least not in the area that we are at. Just to give you a quick look around, in order to get to Giant's Blood, I would need to invest in at least 6 more attribute points, so that could turn into 30 strength. Then we have these minor nodes here, which provides us with 12 strength each, 3 of them, that's 36. There are 4 minor nodes here with 8 strength each, so that's another 32. And then there's this giant node in the middle with plus 25 strength. Finally, if you need a bit more, there is this node here called Titanic, which increases our strength by 5% from the total. So this is really good, like you could get a lot of strength early on, and we would be able to equip 2 of these weapons. If I was to look at the current level two-handed mace, the strength requirement for it would be 88. So if I was to triple the cost of this one, that would be 264. After calculating all these nodes here, I would get to around 210, 220, something around that. So I'm about 40 strength points off. Which means that if I would want to equip one of these weapons in one hand, I would have to keep investing into attribute points on the passive skill tree in order to get more strength, and I would have to find ways in which I could get strength on my equipment. And we don't have a direct way to do that. I would have to keep hunting for it. The big problem with this one is that 88 is the strength requirement for my current level. I'm just in Act 3. I have 3 more acts ahead of me, and then there's the maps. And the strength requirement for these weapons will keep growing. And that's why I'm saying that I will not be able to sustain two-handed weapons long term. Now, if I was of the Titan ascendency, that would have been easier. The Titan has an ascendency option where you could get 50% more out of minor nodes. So we could get at least 2 more points from each attribute investment. Then we could get another 6 points of strength from these nodes here, another 4 points of strength from these nodes here, and if we add all of these together, you could see how much easier it would be for a Titan to keep sustaining this ability. In our situation, however, we would have to make great sacrifices in order to go with two-handed weapons, and we would have to miss on some really powerful passive skill nodes. And I am not willing to do that. And that's why we're not going to be going, unfortunately, on this run towards Giant's Blood, and it will be something which we will have to do in the future. But I'm hoping that this information helped you in figuring out whether you could support this with a Warbringer or not, or what would you have to do in order to support it with a Warbringer. With that plan out of the window, what do we want to do? For our fire set, I definitely want to get more fire nodes. For our armor breaking set, I would like to pick up Pile On, 60% increased damage against enemies with fully broken armor, and now we can do that very easily. I also want to pick up Split the Earth, 10% chance to Aftershock for slam and strike skills. Strike skills is even on our normal attack, so this could bring us a lot of value, a lot of extra damage. Then I'm looking at this idea of revenge, 12% increased attack speed if you've been hit recently, and since we're fighting in melee, that happens quite often. I think because we're running with evasion as well is not a priority because, of course, we're avoiding certain attacks. I said last time that I also want to get Prism Guard to get those elemental resistances plus the maximum amount increase. And then I definitely want In Your Face, 40% increased melee damage with hits at close range. That sounds really good to me. And then we have Primal Growth, 20% increased area of effect if you've killed recently, and another 10% increased area of effect as a general effect. That's really good. Now there are a bunch of things which I've been looking at, for example Projectile Bulwark, 30% increased armor, defend with 120% of armor against projectile attacks, so we could get a lot of survivability in all sorts of ways. For now, let me go down this path. I am going to pick up strength attribute points at the moment. If I ever need dexterity for our gear, then I am going to change some of these nodes around. For the second weapon set, which has the fire ability, we're gonna get a node here with increased fire damage. I want this 12% increased fire damage because I find it very valuable. With the first weapon set, we're gonna go down breaking armors a lot easier, just because the second weapon set has a focus on stunning enemies and also on setting them on fire. Then we're gonna go back to our general points. We're gonna get a jewel socket. We're gonna get, let's invest in 2 more dexterity points. And then I'm gonna get 14% increased damage with maces, another 40% damage with maces, and the aftershock ability, which I spoke about. With the fire set, I think I'm mostly going to avoid chances to ignite at this moment because I'm not really invested in ailments, in damage over time. And so trying to get more ignites I don't think is valuable in the long-term vision. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to get more damage against burning enemies, gain 12% of physical damage as extra fire damage, so it's converting some of our physical damage into extra fire damage. It's additive. And that I think is really valuable. And then we can start investing on this side into getting more fire penetration and then more stun buildup. Hits that heavy stun inflict fire exposure, which means that the enemies will receive, I believe, 20% reduced resistances. Yep, that seems to be the case. So this is very powerful. And thus we're going to be using the second weapon set and we're going to be investing the 3 points that we have left on this weapon set. Once again, when you're changing between weapon sets, is consider that you are refunding some of the points that you have invested on the other weapon set. So we'll apply these ones. And with the first weapon set, I don't have any major ability that I want, so we're gonna get 20% and another 20% increase in damage against enemies with fully broken armor. On active skills, we're gonna go crazy once again. So let's go with an uncut skill gem. I am going to pick up Sunder, slams the ground, creating a roiling fissure that damages enemy in a sequence of areas in front of you. A number of enemies hit by the wave will release a shockwave, damaging other enemies. So we're gonna try this out. While dual wielding, both weapons hit with 30% less damage, so I'm not sure exactly if this is something that, once again, I will want to keep, but I wanna try it out. With the other level 10 skill gems, we're just gonna be upgrading the abilities which I've been running with so far. Now I have 3 more uncut skill gems which are used in order to get some buffs. I have 30 more spirit at the moment from one of the quests, and I could either be running with an extra buff or I could try to upgrade one of our current ones. Time of Need would invoke divine blessings, periodically healing and removing curses and elemental ailments from us. That could be very valuable. Overwhelming Presence. Enemy in your presence have 19% reduced elemental ailment threshold. Enemies in your presence have 20% reduced stun threshold. That reduced stun threshold could be very powerful when fighting mobs, but I think we're running with plenty of elements in order to do that, where I don't think is necessary at the moment. And I'm not really causing a whole lot of ailments, and so I don't think I am going to invest into this one. Time of Need is very interesting for me. I was thinking of maybe combining Herald of Ash together with Scavenge Plating, but that would be on my secondary weapon set. Maybe on my primary weapon set I could be going with Scavenge Plating together with Time of Need, because I'm basically using the primary set, the physical damage one, mostly on fighting bosses. That's what I've been focusing around, and I think having some extra healing and a way to remove curses and elemental ailments when I'm fighting bosses can be super powerful. So let's get Time of Need, and with the other two skill gems I'm going to upgrade Herald of Ash and Scavenge Plating to their level 10. Now I'm gonna set up Time of Need to activate on weapon set 1. I am going to activate Herald of Ash to activate on the second weapon set, together with Scavenge Plates. For our support gems, you can see that on our basic attacks we automatically gained another support gem slot. This seems to be happening with level from what I can tell, and it's not something that you can improve using your Lesser Jeweler's Orb. But what we can do with this Lesser Jeweler's Orb is that we can upgrade some of the other abilities that we've been running with. Rolling Slam is definitely one that I've been using in order to take care of mobs, so I'm going to improve this one further. The other Lesser Jeweler's Orb I am going to use on Bone Shatter, because the Bone Shatter together with the Rolling Slam I've been using in order to create those explosions, and so I'm going to invest here. The third Jeweler's Orb I'm gonna use on Infernal Cry, which is one of those abilities which I think I can make more powerful and actually make it super useful for our entire build. And with the last Jeweler's Orb, if I like how Sunder feels, then we're gonna be upgrading this ability. On Sunder I'm also going to put down Splinter. Breaks armor equal to 15% of the physical damage dealt by the supported skill. I feel like this might be a good combination. Once again, if it's good, if it has a good AoE, I am going to run with it, and I think it might be super valuable. On my primary weapon set, on the physical damage one, I have been using the basic attack. But I realized that on my secondary weapon set, the fire set, I haven't been using the basic attack. I've been using Rolling Slam, and I have been using Bone Shatter in order to create those explosions. And thus these support gems right here are not worth keeping for this basic attack, and I will want to move them around. So I'm going to take Fire Infusion, which converts some of our damage to extra fire damage, and I'm going to put it on Bone Shatter. With the level 1 support gem, I am going to upgrade our first weapon set's basic attack with Ruthless. Every 5th use of supported attacks causes 500% more stun buildup. In a way, I could give it more power, we could give our basic attack more power, but for this early on, I found that getting stuns on bosses can have a lot of value, and so I'll be picking this one up. For one of our level 2 support gems, I am going to go with Devastate on our Bone Shatter ability. Supported skills fully break armor when inflicting a heavy stun. Because we're doing Rolling Slam in order to prime enemies for stun, and then we use Bone Shatter to make them go into heavy stuns, we could also fully break their armor. In turn, that would mean that we would get that heavy armor through our plating ability. What is it called? Scavenge Plating ability. And I think this can be very powerful for us to be running on maps. With the other level 2 gem, I'm going to throw it on Sunder, and we're gonna get Aftershock. Supported skills have 25% chance to cause an Aftershock. And finally, with the last two supporting gems, I am going to throw them on a skill that I'm not using too often, but it is a travel skill that comes in handy every once in a while, and that is Sleep Slam. I will be taking Unbreakable, getting 200% more stun threshold while using supported skills. And the other one is Stomping Ground, triggers a shockwave when you take a step while using supported skills. And I feel like this leaves behind a shockwave, which I think is going to be useful, especially as we're trying to get out of dangerous situation, and who knows, maybe jumping in another one that seems just as dangerous. For gear, as you can see, I've gathered a crazy amount of stuff, a lot of bases. I am going to try to craft on them. I'm not gonna bore you with the process. I'm just gonna show you if in the end I managed to create something which is really good. So after some crafting, here is what I ended up with. Unfortunately, it is time to let this armor go. It was really good up to this point, but I am getting double the armor and double the evasion at this point with another type of armor, so the bonuses are starting to fall off. Sure, I am getting 50% cold resistance, but I'm also losing 16% fire resistance, and that 50% chance to avoid death from hits has a lot of value when I'm about to die. But I'm trying not to die as much as I can. So I'm going to be removing this armor and I'm going to replace it with this one. It's not the greatest, but it gives me some extra life and it gives me a few resistances to cold and lightning, and overall the extra stats to armor and evasion. These boots, nothing too special, cold resistance, a lot of extra life, armor and evasion as per usual. Then I have these gloves, once again, nothing too special, double the armor, double the evasion of the gloves that I'm currently running with. Plus, I'm getting back the lightning resistance through the rune. I have this amulet. I found it with 15 strength, 18% increased armor, 40 to maximum energy shield. Not that valuable, but it's something. 56 to mana and 11 to all attributes. All of these added together, I felt is better than what I'm running with right now. So we're gonna throw this one on. I have this belt, which is actually pretty good overall. 31 maximum health, 9% increased fire resistance, 21% cold resistance, 15 to 21 physical torn damage. In combination with our plates that also do torn damage with that ability with scavenge plating, this could add up to a lot. And finally, I have this Blasting Ruby of Raging, 5% increased area of effect, gain 1 rage on melee hit, something which we will equip on our passive skill tree. For the weapons, I didn't manage to craft something that's totally out of this world, but for physical damage, we're gonna go from 1174 damage to 1761 damage, so that is a huge increase. For our fire set, we're going from 891 DPS to 1153. It's not a crazy amount, but it is an upgrade at the end of the day. With the setup complete, how about we put our build to the test? And I decided to go to the Trialmaster because I've tried it before I started recording when I had 14 passive skill points that I haven't spent and no upgrades in gear. And I got defeated on the bosses all the time. Like I really tried, but I couldn't get it in. The modifiers were really terrible for the lack of upgrades. And so I decided, you know what, let's go back now after investments and let's see if we can get 2 more passives, 2 more ascendency points to play with and upgrade our character. So far so good. I like the amount of strength that we're running with. And I have to try the Sunder ability. Okay. That looks pretty good. And I like the aftershock. The aftershock seems very powerful. There's something which I didn't notice there, but I have to try it again. Not in this situation, but let's see if we can find another group. Probably somewhere there. Okay, let's see if we can break their armor. Can you see it? I don't see the armor break. If I use a normal attack... Yeah, look at the break in armor. we should be running with, if I remember correctly the setup, on our ascendency point, 10% of the physical damage would cause armor break. And I believe I put a gem on Sunder which breaks the armor further. Right? Yeah, I have Splinter. Does Splinter apply to Sunder? If we look in the middle of the screen, we can see a green mark on Sunder. Maybe I have to report a bug. We will try it again, and we shall see. But if there's no armor break, then we'll definitely need to report it. Let's get some lightning strikes. A bit probably not the best choice. Yeah, my lightning resistance is the lowest out of them all. Well, except for chaos. Probably not the best way to do this, but yeah, we'll accept it. I mean, I can avoid those circles better than anything else, I believe. So let me do another Sunder here. Yeah, Sunder looks really good. I love it. You know what I would do on it? I would take the extra attack speed from our basic physical attacks, and I would throw it on Sunder, because this wind up, it's not great, right? We are sitting still for way too long, not doing damage while the enemy is attacking us. And we might be avoiding a few attacks, but I don't think I want that slow of an attack. Especially when I can do it slightly quicker using the rolling slam. Ooh, I found a gold amulet, which increases the rarity of items found. This is the first time I'm finding one of those items in my entire playthrough. Ooh, let's avoid that chaos. Chaos damage can hurt a lot during these trials, especially. And I have no way to mitigate chaos damage at the moment. I do have, I believe, one of these charms which could reduce chaos damage on hit, like give me about 20 or to 25% reduction in chaos or resistances, 20 to 25% resistances to chaos damage. And I should probably be talking less and focusing more on the battle. Speaking of which, I believe for tomorrow I am going to take a break, actually for about 2 days. Because after the cold I had a cold recently, it seems like my voice has not fully recovered. And I am feeling the effects of it, trying to record a lot. And so maybe I'll be taking about 2 days to make sure that I'm not hurting my voice further. At least that's the plan anyway. I'm not really sure that I'm going to be able to hold back on the recording, but you know, just trying to put it out there in case I need it. It is time for the boss battle. And this is the Chimera. Yeah. I hate the Chimera on this map. When it's in the campaign, I don't hate it as much, because you can stun it a few times, but on the trial, yeah, it's going to be super annoying. Actually, you know what? I have the Sunder ability, right? So, whenever it's winding up to do certain attacks, we can do this. Maybe it's not bad to keep Sunder in our arsenal. Did it get the armor break from Sunder or something else? Okay, I am going to keep this ability on. Oop, lightning strike incoming. Yeah, I hate the freezes as well. Or the chills or whatever. Where is the Chimera? Let's see, can I get up there? Not through here. Oh, there it is. Let me try to get at the back of it. Let's try to do some normal attacks. Try to break that armor. This is why I hate the Chimera on this map. It's not sitting still, it's going all around the map. And it makes this boss battle a bit, I don't know, boring. in many ways. You can see the stun build up there on our 5th attack all the time. It's super powerful. And look at our physical attacks. Look how crazy these are. Oh, lightning strike. Let's get out of the way. There's the Chimera. Okay, it's doing its fire attack. We're gonna be running away from it. I'm going to jump. We're gonna fight it at close range here. Let's get out of that poison. Oh, lightning strike. Oh, that almost got me. Yeah, there are many elements to avoid here, and I believe I'm not necessarily doing a great job. Plus the chill ground effect seems to be lasting for way too long for my liking. Another chill effect. Let's try to go with Thunder. Can I do Thunder from this distance? Apparently yes. Let's stay away from that attack. Let's do a rolling slam. I'll do a shout. We'll get up close and personal so that we don't get poisoned. Nice, stunned it. Come on, we can do this. Come on, nice. Whew. For our ascendency points, let's take break 25% increased armor, and you can break enemy armor below 0. Enemies with armor broken below 0 have negative armor. That means they take more physical damage from hits. Armor broken below 0 is capped by the enemy's base armor. Okay, let's try it out. We're gonna go through this area and we're gonna close the episode by fighting the boss from it. He should have a lot of armor and he should also have good resistances to fire. And I think that through the last 2 episodes, the ultimate challenge has been to fight bosses which have a lot of armor and bosses which have fire resistances, because those are our strong points, right? I guess one of our strong points is to break armor, and we want to see how valuable that is, especially now that we can go into the negative armor. As far as the playstyle goes, I think luring mobs is super fun. And to think that I could have done this so much earlier into our level up process, but for some reason I didn't think about it. I was too much focused on other skills and I lagged behind this clearing power. It is time for the ultimate test, a boss which has armor and has fire resistance. So let's see how well we will be handling this. We're trying to drag him away from the lava slightly, but not too much so that it doesn't make him run back into the lava, at least for as long as we can. We're about to break his armor. Yep, and now we're going into the negatives. As I saw earlier while clearing mobs, there is a maximum negative armor. Yeah, you can see 2166. So at this point he's taking in the maximum amount of extra damage. This gives us a reason why we would want to break armor faster as well. And I'm happy with that. We're gonna use Thunder here to attack the enemy, as we cannot go into the lava in order to fight him. So we're going to be using Thunder in order to damage him from a distance. I think this is good to keep in our arsenal as we go forward. Now he's gonna jump probably towards us or do some things. We're gonna try to make him run away from the lava as far as we can. Once again, go with the normal attacks, try to get away from some of these smashes because they do a lot of damage. Broke his armor again, stunned him, super powerful there. Do all this extra damage. Let's see if can we bring him towards us. Yep. Nice, more damage. We've dazed him. Do a Thunder. Nope. Avoid damage. He's dead. Come on. Let's stun him. Nice. All this extra damage is absolutely lovely. I love the ascendency. I have to be honest. The negative armor definitely adds a lot more value to the build, to the armor break skill. It's very unfortunate that the Thunder ability with the armor break does not work. I'm going to report that bug. Now if it's not a bug, if you see something which I am missing here, let me know down in the comments below. Oh, and by the way, there is an end to this map. There is a maximum length to it, and if you're not defeating the boss by then, you're getting covered in lava. Like, you're not escaping it in any way. Do I need the flask? I think I might need the flask, so I'm going to free these mobs in order to get some extra flasks. I don't know if that was necessarily the best idea here, but I've done it already, so what can I do? Let's focus on stunning him and taking him out. Come on. Just a bit more. Just a bit more. Nice.
I've no more room.
I don't remember what this hammer does. What do we keep, what don't we keep? "22 cold resistance, add 7 to 11 physical damage to attacks and 25 fire resistance." Dude, this ring! Oh, yes. Look at that. What a great find. But that's gonna have to be it for this episode. I really hope you have enjoyed it. I hope you have learned something from it. I really think we're discovering a lot for the armor break mechanics, the rolling slam, the explosions that we are doing with the combustions and the aftershocks and all of those. If you have enjoyed the episode, do consider leaving a like. It helps me, it helps the channel grow. If you want to support me further, you can do so on Patreon. It would be much appreciated. And until next time, I wish you all to have a wonderful day.